Most gardeners focus on what grows above the soil, the lush leaves, heavy fruits, and vibrant blooms. But the real story of soil health unfolds underground, in the quiet decay of what's left behind. Every time a plant dies back or is pulled from the garden, it leaves behind a hidden gift, a network of roots that, once they rot, become one of nature's most powerful fertilizers. This is the forgotten fertilizer, a silent process nature uses to rebuild itself. Rotting roots don't just disappear, they feed the soil from within, restore structure, and create lasting fertility without you ever needing to lift a finger. When you pull out a plant, you're not just removing stems and leaves. You're tearing out a complex system that has spent its entire life shaping the soil. Roots carve tiny tunnels, excrete sugars that feed microbes, and act as scaffolding for fungi. When they're left to decay naturally, they turn into underground compost, perfectly distributed where the soil needs it most. The root zone is already rich in oxygen, bacteria, and fungi, ideal conditions for controlled decomposition. As those roots rot, they release nutrients slowly, just like a timed release fertilizer. But instead of quick nitrogen spikes or salt buildup, the nutrients feed plants gently and continuously. In essence, every dead root becomes a miniature compost column, feeding future growth directly where new roots will form. One of the most overlooked benefits of letting roots rot in place is humus formation. As the fibrous material of old roots breaks down, it binds with clay, silt, and sand particles to create stable soil aggregates. These aggregates improve aeration and drainage, allowing air and water to flow freely. They also act like sponges, holding on to moisture far longer than raw soil can. Over time, this process turns compacted, lifeless dirt into crumbly, black, living soil, the kind gardeners spend years trying to create through compost or amendments. When we talk about, building humus, what we're really talking about is the long-term residue of decayed roots. It's the quiet architecture of fertility that forms naturally when we let nature do its job. Roots don't decay in isolation. Even after a plant dies, its roots stay connected to this invisible web of mycorrhizal fungi. These fungi, they feed on the sugars and proteins left in decaying roots, expanding their networks deeper into the soil. This fungal network acts as a communication and transportation system, moving water, nutrients, and even chemical signals between living plants. By leaving old roots in the soil, you're actually feeding that fungal web, which continues to support new crops in the same space. It's a cycle, Living roots feed fungi, fungi help plants, dead roots feed fungi again, and the loop just continues. In no-till systems, this underground continuity is actually why plants seem to remember fertility from previous seasons. The fungal threads stay intact, carrying life from one generation to the next. Another, often overlooked gift of rotting roots is their ability to reduce compaction naturally. When roots die and decompose, they leave behind these tiny air channels, pathways for oxygen, water, and new roots to follow. Deep-rooted plants such as radish, comfrey, sunflowers, or alfalfa are particularly adept at this task. Their thick taproots, have the ability to punch through those hard layers underground. When these roots are left to decompose, they transform into permanent ventilation shafts deep below the surface. Quite fascinating, isn't it? Rather than battling soil compaction with shovels or tillers, you might consider letting nature take the reins. Each season, you can grow a few of these deep-rooted soil miners and simply cut them down at the base. Remember, never pull them up. It's a gentle approach that works wonders. As these roots decay, they will ensure your subsoil remains loose, breathable, and very much alive. It's a natural process that keeps the soil healthy and thriving. You can turn this natural process into a deliberate gardening strategy. Here's how: stop pulling plants out by the roots. Once a crop finishes, cut the stems off at soil level and leave the roots in the ground. Rotate crops intelligently. Follow shallow-rooted plants like lettuce or onions with deeper-rooted species such as beans or carrots. This ensures every layer of soil gets attention. To encourage decomposition, you'll want to keep the soil moist and, covered with a good layer of mulch. Add biology, not chemicals. Compost tea, fermented plant juice, or worm castings will feed the microbes responsible for root decay, making the process faster and, honestly, much more complete. Within just a few months, those old roots will vanish, replaced by dark, spongy soil that's filled with tiny air tunnels and, well, lots of fungal strands. Not all roots decompose at the same rate. Some offer fast nutrients, while others, build structure in the soil. Legume roots like beans, peas, and clover enrich the soil with nitrogen through nodules that house nitrogen-fixing bacteria. Brassicas, such as radish, mustard, and kale, break up hard soil layers and add sulfur and trace minerals to the earth. So, perennials and herbs like comfrey, chicory, and alfalfa, well, they actually reach deep into the soil for minerals and then bring them back up to the surface when they rot. By mixing these plants throughout your garden, you can, create a living rotation that sort of fertilizes itself below the surface. Every time we pull out spent plants, we're not just removing organic matter, but also a potential reservoir of underground fertility. Those roots are honestly, perfectly placed, naturally distributed, and biologically active. They're not waste, they're actually the foundation of self-renewing soil. Ancient farmers understood this. They didn't clear roots between crops. Instead, they let the earth reclaim them. Their fields stayed fertile for generations without chemical input, because the underground cycle of growth, decay, and rebirth never stopped. Modern gardeners can do the same, and honestly, it all starts by doing less, not more. So, next time you finish harvesting, don't pull the plants up. Just cut them, mulch the surface, and let the roots return to the soil that made them. Within a few months, they'll become humus, fuel your fungi, and breathe new life into your garden. That's the secret power of rotting roots. Nature's forgotten fertilizer, still working silently, one season after another.